Okay, we're going to begin section 2.5, part 1, video. And so, what I want to do first is I want to kind of give you some information about what we're going to be doing in this particular section. In this particular section, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking for the equation of a line. So in other words, in this section, we're going to be finding the equation of a line. Now, let me reiterate once again. What do I mean when I say find the equation of the line? The equation of the line is the thing that has the x's and the y's in it. For instance, this right here. This is the equation of a slanted line. How do I know it's slanted? Because it has an x and a y in it. This is standard form. What does standard form mean? It means your x's are first, your y's next, your equal sign, and then numbers on the other side. So what we're going to be doing is this is what our answer will look like. The reason I say that is up until now, that's typically what we've started working with, was the equation. Now we're going to be trying to get to that. That will be our answer. Let me give you another one. Another equation may look something like this. Here's another one. Now, this is a slanted line. How do I know that? It has an x and a y in it. But this is slope-intercept form. Now, both of these are slanted lines because they have x's and y's in it. Now, remember, not every equation, not every line is a slanted line. For instance, if the line we're looking for is vertical, the answer will look something like, maybe, I'm just going to make up a number, like x = 5. Now, how do I know that this will be a vertical line? Because a vertical line has just the x in it and no y. Or if the line we're looking for is horizontal, it'll be y = some number, like, I'm just going to make up a number, like y = 8. So if we're looking for a slanted line, our equation will have x's and y's in it. If we're looking for a vertical line, our equation will have just an x in it. If we're looking for a horizontal line, it'll have just a y. Now, you say, well, how are we going to know what we're looking for? Because we're going to be given the information so that we'll know what we're looking for. See, you can't find the equation of a line if I don't give you some data that will help guide you to that. That would be like if I was asking you to look for something. Hey, will you help me find my wallet? And that's all I say. I mean, what would be the first thing you'd ask? You'd say, okay, when was the last time you remember seeing the wallet? Yada, yada, yada. You'd ask some questions that led up to that so we could find it. So if we're going to find these equations, then we've got to be given some information. We just can't find it from nothing. So what do we have to know about that line in order to find its equation? Very important note here. All right, take this note down right here. To find the equation of any line, we must know two facts about that line. So there's two things you got to know if you're going to find this. And there's no way around it. You have to know these two things. Here are the two things. Number one, a point on the line. And then out beside that, write x1, y1. That should sound familiar because we did that earlier. Now, earlier we had an x1, y1, an x2, y2. But just do x1, y1. So you have to know a point. For instance, I'll have to give you an ordered pair like 7, -3. So you have to know a point that the line goes through. But that's not all. Here's the second thing you have to know. You have to know the slope. M. So you will not be able to get this if you don't know these two facts. Okay. Now, what do we do once we know these two facts? How do we get this? Continue the note. To get the equation of the line, we will use the point slope formula, which is and here's the point slope formula. Okay. Now, let's look at some examples. All right, let's see if you can read all of this. Okay. Pause the video now and copy this. Okay. Let me make sure that you could read all of this. Here's what it says. Find the equation of the line that has the given conditions. Write your answer in slope-intercept form and standard form. So we're going to write our answer two different ways. All right, so let me talk about that for just a second first. When you write your answer two different ways, I may not on test ask the answer for both forms. Sometimes in the homework, he doesn't ask for both forms. Sometimes he asks for slope-intercept form. Sometimes he asks for standard form. But I'm going to do both ways in all of these so you can just practice seeing both of them. So how do we find, here's the three key words, find the equation of a line. All right, so what two things do we have to know if we're going to get the equation? We have to know a point on the line and the slope of the line. All right, so the next 5 or 6 examples we look at, these instructions will pertain to every one of these examples. But I've got to give you some information in order for you to find the equation of the line. All right, here's part A. Pause the video now and copy this. Okay, I'm assuming you pause the video. All right, here's what we're looking for. We're finding the equation of the line that has a y-intercept of 3 and a slope of -5. Now, what two things do we have to know to find the equation? A point on the line. We know a point on the line. The y-intercept is 3. We also know the slope of the line. It's -5. So do we know a point? Yes, we do. Now remember, when you write your y-intercept, you have to write it as 0, 3. And then the slope is -5. So what we're about to do now is plug these 3 numbers. There's my point. There's my slope. We're going to plug these 3 numbers straight into the slope formula. So we're going to do y minus y1. We're going to put 3 right here. Equals m, which is -5. Parentheses, x minus, and x1 is going to be 0. You say, Mr. Rainer, what do we put right here for this x and that y? Nothing. Remember, your answer is going to have x's and y's left in it if the line is slanted. You say, wait a minute, how do we know this line is slanted? Because the slope's -5. The only way the line won't be slanted is if the slope is either, the line's either horizontal or vertical. So if you have a -5 slope, it can't be horizontal or vertical. All right, so take these three numbers and plug straight into the formula. Okay, so when I do, I get y minus y1 is 3 equals m, which is -5, times x minus, and then x1 is 0. Now, this is the answer right here. That's the answer. But I don't want to leave it in this form. The problem says write it in slope-intercept form and in standard form. What does slope-intercept form mean? It means solve it for y. Get the y by itself. So I'm going to distribute here. -5 times x, -5x, -5 times -0 is plus 0. And then to get the y by itself, you move the 3 across. This is slope-intercept form. And it's a slanted line. So the equation of the line that goes through this point that has that slope is right there. That's your answer. Now, what if it asks the answer in standard form, not slope-intercept form? Now remember what standard form meant. Standard form means get the x first, the y next, the equal sign, and the number over on the other side. So, if I want to put this in standard form, all I do here is move the 5x back to the other side. It's in standard form now. X, y equal, and number on the other side. So if it asks for slope-intercept form, that's it. Standard form, that's it. But make sure you enter the answer in the right form. Okay, part B. Write this down, part B. The line passes through the point 5, -3 with a slope of 4. The line passes through the point 5, -3 with a slope of 4. All right, so what do? First thing you do is you call the point x1, y1, call the slope m, and we're going to use the point slope formula. Now plug straight into the point slope formula. So this is going to be y minus y1 is -3 equals m, which is 4, times x minus x1, which is 5. That's the answer, but I need to put it in the right form. Distribute 4x minus 20, and double negatives gives you a positive, and then subtract the 3 across. This is the slope-intercept form of the line. Now, what's the standard form? The standard form says get the x's and y's on one side. All right, so standard form, right here. So I'm going to take this, put it in standard form. I'm going to bring the 4x across, and when I do, I get negative 4x plus y equals negative 23. Now, comment right here. Be sure you listen to this. This is standard form. But when we write it on standard form on the computer, he doesn't like this first term being negative. Now, that's easy to take care of, and remember, and here's why. Remember the golden rule to equations? You can do whatever you want to one side as long as you do it to the other. So here's what I'm going to simply do. Multiply both sides by -1. Multiply both sides by -1. And what happens when you do that? When you multiply both sides by -1, it just simply changes all the signs. So this is the way he'll want it entered. Is this standard form? Yes. But the computer wants it in standard form where that first term's not a negative. I would accept that on test. And if I just ask for slope-intercept form, that's all I want. Okay? Let's look at another example. Part C. Write this down. This is part C. the line passes through the point, negative 3 comma 7, and is horizontal. The line passes through the point, negative 3 comma 7, and is horizontal. All right, there's two ways to do this one. Let me show it to you this way first. Okay, what two things do we have to know to find the equation? Remember, in every one of these problems, that's what we're looking for. Find the equation. Well, to get the equation of a line, I have to know a point on the line. I do. So right up under here, you can write x1, y1. And we have to know the slope of the line. And you say, well, we don't know the slope of the line. Yes, we do. You say, no, it doesn't tell me what the slope is. No, it doesn't. But it tells me that the line is horizontal. If the line is horizontal, I automatically know the slope is what? 0. So I do know, I do have a point and a slope. Now, use the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. So this would be y minus y1 is 7 equal m, which is 0, times x minus, and then x1 is negative 3. Double negatives gives you a positive. Now, distribute with the 0. And when I do, I get y minus 7 equal 0 times x is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Now to get the y by itself, add 7 to both sides to get y equals 7. And that's your answer. Now, you can't put this one in standard form because you don't have x's and y's. But you can still solve it for y. So that's one way to do this problem. Now, let me show you a shortcut. If you remember what we've already talked about. If a line is horizontal, what do we know about the slope? Slope is 0. Now, what we're looking for is the equation of that line. Well, if a line is horizontal, your equation, if you remember, will have a y in it, but it won't have an x. So it shouldn't shock you that there's no x in this problem. So it's going to have just a y. So when I see this word up here, horizontal, when I see that word horizontal, I immediately know this problem's going to have just a y in it. And the y it's going to be equal to is whatever that y number right there is. So you say, Mr. Ryan, let me make sure I got this straight. So if it's a horizontal line and this had been 12, could I just write y equal 12 and not have to do every bit of this? Yes. If you remember that it's y equal. But the good thing about it is if you don't remember it, put in a 0 slope, because that's what a horizontal line has, and use the point slope formula. Okay? Example D. Write this one down. Example D. The line passes through the point. The line passes through the point, negative 3 comma 7, and is vertical. Okay. So, what two things do we have to know to get the equation? A point on the line and the slope of the line. I have a point on the line. So right up under here, call this x1, y1. Now you say, we don't know the slope. Yes, we do. Because we know the line is vertical. A line that is vertical, what is the slope of that vertical line? It's undefined. So we've got a point and we've got the slope undefined. Now, here's what makes this one different. On this one, you cannot use the point slope formula. You cannot use y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. And the reason is obvious. What's the slope? It's undefined. Well, then what you going to put in its place? Its slope's undefined. So, what do we do then in this particular case? Well, you can't use the point slope formula. Here's where you have to remember your facts. So let's connect the dots. All right, wait a minute. Let's see. We know the line is vertical. That means that the slope is undefined. If the slope is undefined, that means your equation will have just a what in it? Just a x. So the answer to this problem is just going to be x equals some number. And since your x equal has to go through your ordered pair, which one of these is your x? It's this. So the answer to this will be x equal that number right there. So your equation will be x equal -3. Just a x and no y. Okay? Give you one more example. I'll let you copy this and then I'll go over it in the next step. This is part E. The line passes through the point -3, 2 and 2, 5. All right, what I want you to do is this. I'm going to let you copy this one down. I will explain it in the next video. So what I want you to do for me right quick is pause the video now and copy this. Okay, I'm assuming you've copied this. Got one more part I need you to copy. Over to the side, over here, pause the video now and copy this. Okay, I'm assuming that you paused the video and copied this. Now, I'm going to explain this whole problem in the next video.